My name is Robert Mintz. I'm the Deputy Director for Art and Program here at the Asian Art Museum, and it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you this evening to our virtual annual meeting. It's also my honor to be able to introduce to you the outgoing board chair of the Asian Art Museum, Akiko Yamazaki. Akiko?
Thank you, Rob, and welcome everybody. I am Akiko Yamazaki, the outgoing chair of the Asian Art Museum Foundation Board, and I have the pleasure to welcome you and introduce the new chair tonight, who you will be hearing from later today. I will be calling the meeting to order for the last time, and as our tradition goes during the annual meetings, we will be showing a video of the year in review that the team has prepared for you tonight. Please enjoy. And the video will be followed by some remarks that I have prepared as well. Thank you.
Art requires imagination, and imagination is the key ingredient to empathy. That's the power of art, is letting people see how you move through the world, to see what experiences you've endured and how that's shaped who you are today.
I am here today to thank you all for giving me the honor to serve as the board chair for the past 6 years and to pass the baton to our next chair, Fred Levin. As the video we just watched shows, it's been a year of change for all of us, a year of downs and ups, a year of up-close art experiences, and a year of learning to make meaningful connections through a computer screen. It's more transformation than we ever could have imagined. But change makes you strong, and this museum is resilient. Resilience is inspirational, and inspiration is what art brings into our lives. It's why I joined the board, and why I'm so proud of everything we've accomplished so far, from a transformative business plan to a transformed museum. When you're able to visit the museum next time, you will enter through a new lobby experience and new signage throughout. The new pavilion will double our special exhibition space and allow us to offer exhibitions of a new scale. We will have one of San Francisco's largest rooftop art terrace with contemporary art and cafe service. Permanent galleries have been reinstalled around masterpieces. Contemporary art will be visible throughout, and you have probably noticed that our digital programming has gotten a rocket boost lately. What was our vision that drove this transformation? Here's one example that captures the spirit. Last year, with my own daughters and mother, I came to the special presentation by the Japanese bamboo artist Chikunsai IV and his 3 children. It was powerful to see his children so confidently presenting in front of the crowd and making their own pieces with joy. When an audience member asked whether one of his daughters could be his successor, Chikunsai said, "Yes, of course." I was so glad that was his answer. Otherwise, it would have made for a very long car ride home. This experience showed me how tradition and knowledge are carried through from one generation to the next, but in a way that reflects today's values and sensibilities. You honor the past, but you live in the present. To me, this captures the essence and vision of our transformation project. This vision is also about respect for art, for culture, for each other, for diversity of thought and of experience. I'm proud of the deep culture of respect at this museum. It's the first word in our reign of values. I truly miss the different faces I'd be seeing in the audience tonight if we were all able to be together. Friends old and new, friends from all different backgrounds, cities, and even countries. Friends who have helped transform the face of the Asian Art Museum, helped us turn toward the future as we continue to honor the past. Thank you to our generous donors who share our vision. It has been deeply gratifying to see the incredible support for the Transformation Project, for our exhibitions, and for all we do here. I want to thank everyone who made our For All campaign a big success, and in particular, those who funded the addition and transformation of spaces in the museum, and those who provided funds to endow staff positions. Now, I would like to welcome 2 new members to the Asian Art Museum Founder Circle. These donors are part of a group that's over 80 members strong, with contributions totaling over $265 million to the museum over the past 5 decades. In recognition of their generosity, their names will be added to the digital donor wall in Bogart Court. The new Asian Art Museum Founder Circle members in 2020 are Ken Howe and Kathy Chow, and the estate of Robert L. and Lois M. Krautsberger. I must also give a special thanks to the museum's development and finance teams, who have been true partners in ensuring the success of our transformation and the long-term stability of the museum. Although it doesn't always feel like it, we've been extraordinarily fortunate during these extraordinary times. Fortunate in our friends, our staff, and our donor community. Fortunate that in the first weeks of shutdown, our dedicated finance team helped negotiate a major PPP loan from our corporate partner, East West Bank. This loan was critical for us to keep moving forward. We have also been fortunate in our board and patrons who stepped up when asked. You contributed so generously to our Sustainer Fund in a moment of crisis everywhere and uncertainty in your own lives. We are fortunate that we secured a major multi-million-dollar grant from the prominent Andrew W. Mellon Foundation. All of this financial support is a testament to the value of our mission. It's an endorsement of our strategic vision for how Asian art can impact people's lives. I have also been fortunate to have outgoing board president Tim Kam by my side all these years. Tim is unflagging in his love of learning, his profound business experience, and his dedication to the museum has been truly exceptional. Thank you, Tim, for your devotion and for cherishing this museum as much as I do. Of course, when thinking of our expansion, I must salute our architect, Kulapat Yantrasast, and his team at Y Architecture for making our vision come true. I'd also like to personally thank Jay and all the staff members whom I have worked with closely with over the years. Leading the board, even during challenging times, has been a joy. The curators have educated me immensely, and our exhibitions are always an A+, thanks to all the work done behind the scenes by installers, conservators, and those in the education department. I'd also like to give special thank you to our security and frontline staff. They keep our museum safe and greet me and countless visitors with their friendly hellos whenever we come in. Everyone is always ready to stretch themselves to help, from our beautiful museum boutique to our marketing department to our committed and resourceful digital team. I consider the museum my extended family. In the end, everything is about teamwork. As a leader, I learned you cannot blink, and you have to have Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C. Of course, our incoming board leaders already know this. Right now, my Plan A is to toast all of you on the new East West Bank Art Terrace when we can safely gather again. For now, instead of poring over spreadsheets and lists, I look forward to spending a little more time just being inspired by our curators and indulging in the appreciation of extraordinary art. Thank you all.
Great, thank you, Akiko.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. It is now my pleasure to introduce our director and CEO, Jay Shu.
Thank you, Akiko. Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. I'm Barbara Bass-Baker, Director and the CEO of the Asian Art Museum. Welcome to the 2020 annual meeting of the museum. Thank you, Akiko. It has been a wonderful honor to lead this museum by your side. Thank you for your years of unwavering generosity and support. Thank you for your strategic guidance and for your commitment to leading with your heart, your mind, and your resources. And particularly, thank your family, Jerry, Mickey, and Amy, for supporting you to give so much of you to the Asian Art Museum. Above all, thank you for your faith in the power and the beauty of Asian art to help us all learn, grow, and thrive now and into the future. Once again, welcome to the 2020 annual meeting. Thank you for joining us today. Here is my report.
When I came to the museum, we were also, like today, facing a global crisis. During the 2008 financial meltdown, you, Akiko, were the one who understood clearly that this museum could only survive by transforming into a museum of the 21st century. And what is a museum of the 21st century? 2020 has shown us that it's a museum which is resilient in all circumstances, accountable to its history and its community, open to many voices, and open about its values and even its emotions. Yes, a museum can have emotions, because institutions like ours have a living spirit made up of all the people gathered here tonight, made up of all those who have come through our doors or dreamed of doing so one day. It is why it is so very important to take a moment to acknowledge that before the current pandemic, this year we would have unveiled the transformed Asian Art Museum to the world, launching a new era of art, ideas, and experiences. This unveiling would have been a vision fulfilled and a celebration of many years, many millions of dollars, and countless hours of incredible work from everyone here. Instead, we gather over Zoom while the museum sits dark. It's painful to experience the gap between where we thought we would be and the very different place we find ourselves tonight. I reflect on this gap frequently, and despite the moments of staggering disbelief that this is our new reality, when filled with sadness, uncertainty, and fear for the longevity of the arts, I also find myself filled with awe for everyone we work with, starting with our own museum family. The resilience, the tenacity, and the unbridled enthusiasm and creativity of a museum staff, board, and supporters of all kinds in the face of an overwhelming situation are never less than inspiring. This inspiration means that while our doors remain closed to the public, we can still find ways to connect with and serve our community. For instance, by donating hundreds of N95 masks, hundreds of totes to help those in need, and hundreds of hours as disaster service workers. Or by finding new ways to engage our audience exclusively online with digital programming that continues to enrich lives with music, food, mindfulness, and of course, with art. Art from around the corner, art from around the world, art from hundreds of years ago that still catches eyes and captures imagination. Art that packs a punch. Art that recognize the groundbreakers shaping who we are today. Art that reminds us how there are many ways to make your voice heard, and not just heard, but resonate far and wide. In fact, when quarantine began, digital engagement for our online audiences shot up 59% across all channels and an astounding 744% on Instagram. This is a result of years-long investments that have enabled us to pivot almost overnight to being a virtual museum for people seeking inspiration and connection. We have a new, much more user-friendly website we just launched, thanks to prescient grants from the Bose Foundation and heavy lifting from our own digital team. During closure, we also expanded our social media team to include everyone at the museum. In the wake of the coronavirus, we have all become content generators who consult on the creation of fun, memorable, and impactful posts and videos that our audiences love. Most importantly, our long-term emphasis on students and activity-based interpretation meant award-winning content was already in store, content that is accessible, entertaining, and learning-rich. This focus on audience engagement has also been a compass for the museum as we navigate a moment of deep national unrest. The force of this unrest reflects the pain of long-standing injustice at the very foundations of our society. With the incredible guidance of our education and curatorial teams, as well as diverse community partners, we have continued to confront institutional racism and learn how best to support and initiate action on issues like Black Lives Matter. All of this has taken place within a charged climate of arts organizations everywhere. Museums in particular are being challenged on their treatment of staff and artists, as well as their commitment to values of diversity, equity, access, and inclusion. That is why we have invited public in to examine with clear eyes the legacy of Avery Brundage, whose actions and words revealed racist, sexist, and anti-Semitic beliefs. This is part of a larger and mission-critical effort to engage the public about our history and our collection. We recently removed a bust of Brundage from the museum's entryway. Through robust programming, we ensure that the reasons for this removal are transparently documented and discussed. Examine the record, asking hard questions, rewriting the story. This is how you transform. This is how you inspire. This is what a museum does. In a sign that we are on the right track, even some of the art world's toughest critics are acknowledging what we have been accomplished in such a short period. I quote, "SF's Asian Art Museum has been doing amazing things this pandemic, proving that museums with good leadership can continue to evolve during a crisis." End quote. This is a tweet from the editor and founder of influential online art magazine Hyperallergic. It underscores that change, continuing to evolve, is a hallmark of a 21st century museum for all. Because it is only through an open and transparent account of our own history that we can evolve into a museum that truly is for all. A museum free of the mindsets that have held us back for centuries, free to celebrate, as our mission says, new art and new ideas. So let us celebrate this as a reminder that transformative change is always possible, even if there will always be more to do. A museum that can speak candidly about everything we face in the world today. A museum that, through our art, artists, educators, and ever-expanding audiences, helps us all understand how to keep moving forward into the 21st century.
Now, to share what the future holds in store, please welcome Fred Levin, our next chair of the Asian Art Commission and the Asian Art Museum Foundation. Fred is a familiar face to many, a fourth-generation San Franciscan who knows the city's arts community inside and out. A board member for 17 years at the Asian Art Museum, and a lover of this museum since it opened more than 50 years ago. And I understand he actually waited in a long line to get into the museum on the first day. Welcome, Fred.
Thank you, Jay. It is an unbelievable honor for me to find myself as the chair of the Asian Art Museum, but it is also very daunting to follow Akiko Yamazaki, who has done so much over a 6-year period. But I know that she will be close at hand and will be an advisor. Jay is right. I'm someone who can recall waiting in line during the museum's opening weeks in Golden Gate Park all those years ago. Like many first-time visitors then and now, it was the magical Jade Room with its deep sense of history and beauty that was my gateway to the Asian Art Museum. Growing up in San Francisco, Asia was everywhere. Chinatown restaurants were a weekend special treat, and my grandfather built a business importing art objects from China. So in many ways, I grew up with Asia in my home. Later, I spent my career traveling and working across the Pacific Rim. I understand when Jay says California is just the east coast of the Pacific Ocean. That's why, for me, this museum truly is the spirit of Asia in the heart of San Francisco, a bridge to understanding how cultures connect, interact, and reflect one another. This is how we understand the past, the present, and, as Jay said, what it is to be a museum of the 21st century. As incoming board chair, this means my priorities will be creating a new 5-year strategic plan, one that takes into account the obstacles introduced this past year, but one that also builds on all of Akiko's many successes now that our key transformation goals have been accomplished. Especially important has been Akiko's commitment to board diversification. Enhancing the diversity of culture and professional backgrounds among the leaders of this museum will continue to be a strategic imperative. Tapping new voices can only strengthen our ability to navigate the challenges of today and tomorrow. With incoming board president Sally Yu as a partner, I look forward to elevating our digital experiences across the museum platform, from in-gallery offerings to online engagement to channels we can only begin to imagine right now. Sally is one of our newer board members, although she has actively supported the museum as a member of the Audit Committee, the Museum Council, and Nexus. In addition, she has been a member of the Korean Art and Culture Committee for more than a decade. Sally brings a keen understanding of how we live our lives in a digital landscape. She understands deeply that a commitment to digital initiatives will break down barriers between art and audience and will allow us to engage people in critical conversations across the globe, thus truly fulfilling our mission as a museum for all. That is why the new strategic plan, spearheaded by Sally and myself, will outline how to leverage the many successes of our transformed museum as we prepare to reopen to the public. A resilient museum that is ready to tackle the needs of our new reality. A museum that has been a beacon of inspiration for more than 50 years, and especially during the dark days of 2020. Thank you, Akiko, for giving us the keys to a transformed museum. Thank you, everyone, for ensuring that when we throw our doors open again, we do so from a place of strength.
Thank you very much, Jay and Fred, for these wonderful remarks. Fred, you gave me a lot of credit, but as I mentioned before, this is all about teamwork, and it's not about Akiko. It's really about all the incredible board members and staff and our community of support that we've had that has made all these years possible. And we're also on, building on the shoulders of those that came before us that did so much to make the museum what it is today. So thank you for the kind remarks. And I will follow Tony-san's example of being close by, a phone call away, but I will definitely not be a helicopter board chair emeritus. And I have great faith in your slate of officers that you will be in great position to be leading the institution forward. Of course, you have Jay as your partner. So good luck to you. And I wish everybody the best.
Thank you.
With that, I am reminded about some housekeeping here, that the public comments are welcome through the chat function. We have received some already, and these will be addressed Q&A session. So Jay, I believe it's your turn to introduce Sally and Tim.
Yes, I believe that thank you so much for letting me continue with the next program, our annual meeting. And thank you, Fred, for your wonderful remarks and presentation. And once again, I'm Jay Xu. And I'd like to start out at this episode by saying we will not be here today without the generosity and support of so many. And that includes all of you. And also, I really want to thank our past president, Tim Kang, as well as our incoming president, Sally Yu. It is remarkable to think that we were supposed to be celebrating in person the opening of our transformed museum back in May. But perhaps we have learned more about ourselves and our museum during this year of pandemic and quarantine. For instance, we now truly understand the meaning of transformation. the importance of growth and change, the crucial role that learning and adaptation play in the success of a museum that is getting ready to open again on October the 3rd, in just 8 short days, with the museum with members preview on October the 1st and 2nd. So thank you, Akiko, for helping us grow, not only this year, but in all your many ways and many years of service to this museum and its community. When I first arrived at the museum in 2008, as I mentioned earlier, and worked with you, Akiko, the museum faced an unprecedented challenge with the global financial crisis. The events of this year, 2020, are arguably more destabilizing to our lives now. Yet, Akiko has led our museum to be more secure financially and strategically than at any point in our history. She spearheaded a successful $100+ million campaign that substantively grew the museum's endowment while enhancing board diversity. A campaign that underwrote the completion of San Francisco's largest new exhibition pavilion and the rooftop art terrace, as well as the reimagining of the museum's collection galleries, education spaces, and digital initiatives. Akiko, thank you for your steadfast support in achieving our vision of a transformed museum, a museum that is resilient in the face of change and challenge, a museum that makes Asian art essential and engaging to all. For this and much more, I'm proud to announce that the board has bestowed upon Akiko the title of Chair Emeritus. And from the Asian Art Museum and the board, we're thrilled to present to you, Akiko, with a symbol of our deep appreciation that visitors now and the generations to come will be able to cherish. That is, a set of works of art acquired for the museum in your honor. These acquisitions were generously funded by contributions from the new foundation board officers, Fred Levin, Sadie Yu, Goretti Loy, Ken Wilcox, and Yogan Dalal. The artworks are by Japanese-American artist Kei Sekimachi, right in our community. Born in San Francisco, Sekimachi's artwork speaks to us from the intersection of tradition and modernity, reviving ancient techniques and forms through experimentation and a dedication to a unique point of view. She is an artist whose life and practice represents where our museum is now, a place we wouldn't be without you, Akiko. I'd like to share a quote from Sekimachi regarding the work titled The River, her favorite work. I quote, "As a piece, it was the most successful one I ever did, and it was also the most difficult. It is my favorite also because to me, it's very much like a river. It started off very calm, then like a river, it separates, becomes the tributary of the main river," end quote. Sekimachi is vigorous in her 90s and is still weaving in Berkeley, as you can see in this picture. Like a river, her art appears to flow across generations. Sharing these pieces connects us not only to our past, but to this important moment, and even to future. As you say to yourself, Akiko, you honor the past even as you live for today. Thank you, Akiko. May I invite you to say a few words?
Well, I am so deeply touched by this gift to have this pieces of art created by a Bay Area Japanese American artist is just so wonderful. And I am deeply honored and want to give special thanks to the new slate of officers who generously contributed to the acquisition. I'm just wordless with how deeply touched I am, and I just can't wait to see these pieces in person myself. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Akiko. Now, please allow me to express our appreciation on behalf of the entire museum family to Tim Kahn. Thank you, Tim, for your support and leadership in leading the museum, particularly the transformation project. Tim has been such an important partner on this journey. His love of learning, shared by his wife Anne, and their devotion to the museum's vital docent programs and the Society for Asian Art, his steadfast devotion to this museum, and his discipline in understanding how to keep us on course is the kind of tough work that does not always get the recognition it deserves. But Tim, I can assure you, all of us appreciate you so much. But Tim is more than a steady hand. His openness to new experiences, to new ideas, and above all, to collaboration were a model for how to build a vision into reality. Thank you, Tim. And I want to present to both of you, Akiko and Tim, each with a terracotta tile of the same kind that covers our newly constructed pavilion. The tile is inscribed in recognition of your wonderful accomplishments. The tile is a symbol of the new place and all its possibilities in future. Akiko, Tim, and all of the museum supporters, that include all of you in the audience, I want to thank you for making our transformation happen. Now let me once again pass the mic on to Akiko.
I just want to add a few words of my personal thank you, Tim, for being such an incredible partner. We couldn't have done it without you. When you were telling us and giving us a history of the transformation project and how the initial concept was introduced in 2014, it's just staggering to think that after so many iterations and meetings and hard work by everybody involved, here we are 6 years later, almost at the cusp of being able to welcome everybody physically to the new spaces. I just can't wait to celebrate with you with a glass of wine for real. And thank you in person for being such an incredible partner, not just for me, but also to Jay and the staff and everybody on the board. So thank you so much, Tim. And I hope you approve of the terracotta colors here.
That's great.
Tim, will you like to say a few words?
Yeah, just quickly, I thank you all. It's been a great privilege to work with the museum. It has been a tremendous privilege to work with Jay, who just keeps rising to the challenge. Running a major art museum in this country, even without pandemics, is a constant leadership challenge, and Jay just keeps moving us forward. Akiko, you are an unbelievable inspiration. I cannot think of anybody else who would have been shown so much insight, so much strategic vision, and so much humanity over the last few years. And certainly it's what kept me going and focused, and thank you so much. And the last thing I'd like to say is thank you to everybody. Akiko said a few minutes ago, it's an extended family. It really is. It's the diverse and talented and brilliant staff. It's the docents, the storytellers, the members of the Society of Asian Art. Those of you on this who can get involved with the museum, do so. It's really rewarding. And I really want to thank my wife, Anne, because without her, and she's put in 3 hours for everyone I have, I wouldn't be involved at all. But again, that is the tribute to the size of the family. So thank you all, and I'm like Akiko, I'm looking forward to enjoying looking at some art and trusting in Fred and Sally and the new team as they lead us forward.
Thank you, Tim. And there are so many among you who helped us get where we are. So many of you who understand the value of presenting Asian art outside of Asia, who understand that our community, our city, our world is a better place when this art is for all. A better place when we engage people, build a community, and cross-cultural understanding. In special recognition for a few among us who have supported this mission for decades, we present to you with certificates of honor from the city of San Francisco, signed by Her Honorable Mayor London Breed. 25 years ago, Chong-Mong Lee gave us the foundational gift that established the Chong-Mong Lee Center for Asian Art and Culture and helped us make our current home a reality. In so many ways, it was our first transformation. His commitment to our museum continues with support for culture and artistic programming to this very day, and investment in traditional and living cultures unique to our museum. Chong-Mong's generosity demonstrates the kind of trust it takes for an institution like ours, not only to survive, but to thrive. There will always be a wonderful thinking on my part to feel grateful on behalf of the entire museum for your support, Chong-Mong, of our mission and our vision. Let me read a little of what is now official San Francisco history. Let me quote Mayor London Breed. His decades of services and contributions to the Asian Art Museum brings positive impacts to San Francisco's diverse arts community, are truly commendable and represent San Francisco's value at their best, end quote. Thank you, Chong-Mong. Another person we honor today is Judy Welbeck, whom our board has appointed as Commissioner and Trustee Emeritus. And we are also very honored to present her with a certificate of honor from Mayor London Breed. Judy has not only given us another very generous donation of $1 million for the future growth of the museum, but has also been a lifelong supporter of every stage of this museum's growth, change, and transformation. Judy, what a fitting tribute that the gallery that bears your family's name, the Brayton Wilbur Foundation Gallery, is also displaying the first artwork publicly accessible in these transformed spaces. Chanel Miller's powerful mural, I Was, I Am, I Will Be, is about the movement we can make, movement together, and movement forward. It is an ideal reflection of what transformation truly means. We also have certificates of honor from Mayor London Breed, for Akiko Yamazaki, and for Tim Kang, of course, for their wonderful, incredible work transforming our museum. Akiko and Tim, the impact of your support truly will, as these certificates of honor say, impact us for generations to come. Congratulations, Chong-Mong, Judy, Akiko, and Tim. And I want to thank all of you in the audience for your support and your inspiration for all of us at the Asian Art Museum. Lastly, for my part, I take great pleasure in welcoming Sally Yu, our new Vice Chair of the Asian Art Commission and the President of the Asian Art Museum Foundation, to give her remarks. Sally.
Thank you, Jay. Akiko and Tim, I just want to add my thanks to the comments that have been made. Your commitment and steadfast leadership in getting us to the finish line with our new pavilion and art terrace has set a very high bar for us all, and for me especially, to follow. I'm honored and humbled to build with Fred on your legacies. We will continue the work to build on this transformation for future generations. And we look forward to working with you both, Jay, and all of the trustees and commissioners to ensure that the Asian Art Museum remains steadfast in its promise to be a museum for all. Now, I believe that I am handing off to Fred.
Thank you, Sally, for saving me there. I also want to thank Akiko and Tim for bringing us to this stage. I'm honored to build on your legacy to help lead the museum that is poised for success at a time when the world needs places like this for healing, togetherness, and inspiration. I'm excited to partner with Sally and other board members, our institutional partners and stakeholders, our staff and volunteers, and every single one of you who makes what we do at the museum possible. I'm excited for the future, to lean into this moment, to take the necessary steps together to ensure that we remain a vital place of connection and community for our neighborhood, our city, the Bay Area, and beyond. But we're in a different position today, and everything is new. Today is actually the first day of fall. It's also the Jewish New Year, and our museum also starts a new chapter with the pavilion and the art terrace. We are moving into new and unknown realities. We have great plans to move forward, but COVID has taught us that this can change. And so we need to be mindful of this, but also enjoy every minute. In less than 10 days, we'll open our doors again to welcome that community back to enjoy art safely and cleanly as we prepare to celebrate the transformation, all for you, our members, supporters, advocates, docents, storytellers, volunteers, leaders, and community, and that you have been part of. We are looking forward to seeing you back in the museum on October 3rd. And now we'll take some questions from the audience of our supporters. Rob?
Great, thanks, Fred. I love the idea of welcoming all those people back. And we've had just a few questions come in through the course of speaking. And Fred, I think the best question is one that is for you, but it's not really a question. It simply says, "We love you, grandfather. We're very proud of you." I do believe that's your grandson, Fred, who is speaking to you. But you know, it raises an issue that I think is a question, and one that was sort of bubbling along. Several of you in your remarks talked about generations of people experiencing the museum, generations of people loving the art. And you know, I wonder if Akiko, as an outgoing chair, and as the last generation, and Fred as an incoming chair, and as the new generation, if you could reflect just for a moment on that sort of the meaning of crossing generations.
Me or Akiko?
I think you first. You're the new generation.
Oh, well, you know, it's amazing. It's very exciting. It is, you know, it transforms us as well as the institution. And we build on those who came before us. And for this museum, in its young 54 years, I've always wanted to thank every executive director, every board chair, every board member, every employee who worked together tirelessly to get us to this point. As far as my grandchildren, there's 2 boys and a girl, so I think they all got together on that one.
So Akiko, do you feel you've left the museum in good hands with Fred?
Of course. Couldn't be in better hands with Fred and Sally and the other officers who will continue to serve. And of course, Jay, Rob, yourself, and all the staff that do all the hard work at the museum. And I just cannot wait to be able to visit with my own family who have become great fans of the museum. My two daughters are now regular museum goers, and they never say, well, no, we don't want to go to the museum. That's not allowed in our house. So we really look forward to visiting the new spaces in the very near future.
As do we all. But so we have another question here, and one that actually maybe I can turn quickly to Jay. There's a question about exhibitions that were scheduled for 2020 and 2021 during this 6 months of challenge. What has happened?
Actually, Rob, you will be the best person to answer that question. So I delegate to you, and I will add if I feel need to.
I see. Well, the way I see it, we had 6 months of treading water, and now we leap right back into the pool where we were. And we see those exhibitions carried out into the future. We are very fortunate, I think, not to have to cancel exhibitions, not to have to dramatically change. And in fact, when people return to the museum, they will see exhibitions that had only been on view for a month in some cases, and which will now be able to continue their run as we move forward into the next generation of exhibitions to come.
And I just want to add that those exhibitions are so very timely, such as a journey of enlightenment guided by Tibetan Buddhism. I think we, in this very difficult moment facing the entire nation, and I think the enlightening is very, very important. And we have other Asian American artists' work fighting for women's rights, for social justice. So I think the Asian Museum is content rich, but in addition to our exhibitions, we have our educational programs that we featured at this annual meeting. So come to partner with us, come to enjoy art, and also let's all learn together.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. So another question, Fred and Sally, perhaps Sally, this is an opportunity for you to think for a moment. Somebody says, what are a few of your goals as the new leadership of the board?
Nothing like being put on the hot spot in the first meeting. Thank you. But I think that, as I sit here today and the conversations that Fred and I've had over the past few months, and I am very lucky to be able to learn under Fred, and I really look forward to working with Fred in the years to come. I think that the way, especially today, as I listen to the programming, I'm reminded of when I first came to San Francisco, and I'm reminded also of the hard work that this board and some of you individually did to fulfill your responsibility. I think that as a museum, there's the responsibility to preserve the past, but also hold it and build for the future. And as time moves on, and I think it's on us, Fred and me and Jay and Rob and everyone at this meeting to look a little bit more at the future and think about how we engage through art with each other and how we preserve that for not only ourselves and our generation, but the children who are coming up in age. And so I think that's a long way of saying that we are going to start working with Jay and his team and the board to figure out what is the next, where do we take the strategic plan from here? What is the next phase?
Oh, I love that. It answers two questions at once. Another question was, what's in store for the future of the museum? And you just said it, a new strategic plan that takes us to the next place, to the next challenge. Somebody did ask Akiko and Tim, and maybe Tim, you can weigh in. What were your favorite parts of seeing the museum's transformation?
Akiko, you want to go first? Or?
No, Tim, this is yours.
Well, we've been very fortunate because we've been able to, in running the construction, we've been able to walk through and see it. I'm just going to say that thanks to Kulipat, thanks to Carol Sherper, who I really need to mention, who is the hero of the endless struggle, who is our construction project manager, and the whole team. The way the museum, the way the Asian Art Museum will be experienced by people is unbelievably different. It's familiar and totally unfamiliar at the same time. It is extraordinarily welcoming to be able to walk from our familiar but transformed galleries into the open spaces of the Arts Terrace or the tremendous space of the pavilion with glass in front of you, with the roof inviting you, with all the rest of it, to be able to walk by on Hyde Street and see what we've done for San Francisco in transforming that part of High Street. It's just a whole gestalt. So I think you'll all see it when you get there.
Thanks, Tim. That's great. We have time for just a last question. I'm going to answer 2 questions myself really fast. Phyllis Kempner asks us when the Team Lab exhibition will open. We are hoping it opens in the spring of 2021, when hopefully health concerns will no longer keep people away. And Betty Albert asked us a fascinating question about the Ohlone land acknowledgement we had at the beginning of this meeting. And I just want to say the same team that has been thinking about the heritage and the history of Avery Brundage and the stories around his life are also consulting on an appropriate acknowledgement of those who came before us and who occupied the space that is today San Francisco before the current occupiers of San Francisco. So that will all be coming to us in the future. Going to end with one question, Akiko, not to put you on the spot, but it puts you on the spot. Someone asks, what is your next project?
Well, maybe, of course, I will stay involved with the museum and hopefully in a way that will further my own education. But I have actually been asked to chair a task force for a new school of sustainability at Stanford, which is my alma mater. I think with all that we've experienced in the past few months, there's such an urgency and relevance to this effort, which I was very honored to be asked to serve. Apparently, Stanford hasn't had a new school since 1947.
Wow.
So it's really a really incredible thing that the university is considering opening a new school and especially focus on sustainability. So that will be my major focus for the next 6 months. But as I mentioned, Fred, you can always send me an email.
Or pick up the phone.
Or pick up the phone.
That's great. I think when schools start new programs, what they all want to do is to save the world. And with your leadership, I'm sure our world will be saved. But we have run out of time. Fred, I need to turn to you and ask you if you would be so kind as to adjourn the meeting.
Okay. Before we do that, I want to address the future just for a second.
Please.
And, when we think about the future, we really don't know what it is, or it wouldn't be the future. We know what we have accomplished. And I think going forward, we need to learn from this COVID experience. We need to learn how important digital is. I don't think that our world will ever go back to the way it was. I think that for all of us who love going to a museum, there are going to be twice as many people who will experience a museum virtually for the first time. And I think that opens the future. So I want to thank Akiko and Tim and Sally and Jay and Rob and all of the staff who helped put this together. And this concludes our meeting, and I will ask for a motion to adjourn. One of you has to do it.
Oh, moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments? Any objections? So the annual meeting is adjourned until next year. Thank you all very much for attending, and we look forward to seeing you in the museum in the next few weeks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Looking forward to seeing you all at the museum.
Yes, everybody can wave goodbye, as we always do on Zoom. Thanks for attending this evening. We look forward to seeing you very soon.